Hello everyone, today we're going to take a look at the brand new LEGO Star Wars Imperial Star Destroyer that just came out this August wave, so let's get into it. So this set came out at the start of this month, August 2024. It's set number 75394 and it has 1555 pieces. Its MSRP is €169.99. Now you shouldn't buy it at that price. You can at least get a little bit of a discount. I got it at €139, so I saved 30 bucks on it. And that makes it still pretty high in price, but it is a LEGO exclusive set, so therefore you will not get as big of a discount as with other sets. Okay, so let's get started and take a look at what I believe to possibly be the best set of the whole year. Now, before we start taking a look at the LEGO bricks, let's take a look at the box right here. So this is the box that it comes in, and it is actually different to what we have seen before. It's a new box. It's remember, it's a €170 set, so it's a very big set, but the box itself is actually rather small. It's not that big when you take a look at it from the front, but therefore it's definitely quite a lot higher right here. Now when we're opening it up, it's actually pretty nice. They have this little lid on here like they used to. In the 2012 The Mellowin set, they had something similar, so they kind of got back to this style of box, which is pretty nice. You can just dump all your pieces inside if you want to, maybe, so you don't lose them while you're building it. Now there's only one instruction manual in here. It's rather thick. It has about 300 pages, and there's no second manual or anything. It's just plain white background, nothing special going on anymore. Now I just quickly want to compare it with this old box of the 2011 Republic Frigate, a set that I'm still gonna have to build. If you take a look, this set was $129.99 in 2011. This set $169.99 in 2024. So I think with inflation adjusted, these maybe are in the same league, or this one even cheaper. But I think if we're being honest, this set, the Republic Frigate from 2011, is so much cooler. I think the box just pops and shines so much more than the Star Destroyer. And even if you take a look at this set that I'm also gonna have to build, it's the 2011 Pod Racer set. This one is only $100 or has been in 2011. And even this smaller set seems, just by the box, seems like it's a bigger set. It seems so much more inviting. I think the box art on these older sets, especially from 2011 to 2013, they were just spot on. And this one is just smaller. It's like everything is dark. The background you have in the Death Star in the background, the Star Destroyer itself is only gray, so everything's just gray and dark. And with these ones here, of course, you have a lot of popping colors, but this one is also quite a dark set, but still they managed to just get the box art right. It just looks so much more inviting, and it's still just a box, so it doesn't really matter for the set in the end. But I think LEGO should just want to have a good box art. I mean, they're putting on some color anyway, so why not just make it a good box art? I mean, if you walk around the store and see this one, you definitely will not want this one as hard as any of the other two sets, just because the other two look so much more inviting. They really jump you when you walk through a hallway with a lot of sets on. And this one is kind of just going under the radar because of how dark it is and also how small. It doesn't really look, especially if you compare it to a $100 set from 2011, a $130 set from 2011, and this one is 170. It looks more like it's supposed to be a $80 set if you compare it to the size of that one. So I think the box arts have really gotten worse over the years. I don't know why. I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the build is great, but still kind of sad because when you see these old ones, you actually get excited to start building your set. Alright, now let's get started with the minifigures. This particular one is probably the reason for a lot of people as to why they buy this set. It's the 25th anniversary LEGO Star Wars minifigure. It is of course the Kestis minifigure from the video games. Now personally I haven't played any of these video games, so I really don't care about this minifigure. But I know for a lot of other people it is an epic minifigure that they can't wait to get their hands on. Now he does have a double printed head. On this side he's looking a little bit angry. He's of course standing on the 25th anniversary base plate, as all the minifigures do. He definitely has quite a nice torso print as well as a nice leg print. Two different colored hands. And also the back print on his torso looks very nice. The only thing he's missing is apparently his poncho. As far as I heard, he's supposed to have one, and as you can see, his minifigure sadly doesn't. So it seems like LEGO again cheaped out on one of these cloth pieces and didn't include it, which is very sad. Personally, I don't care because I'm not going to display this minifigure, but for all the people that wanted to finally get a minifigure of Kestis, it's definitely very sad, and I just hate that LEGO cheaps out so often on these kind of things. Alright, now continuing with the minifigures that are actually intended to be part of the set, we're starting out with the Darth Vader minifigure. We've seen this minifigure already in a few other sets, and it just still is a very nice minifigure. He of course has this red lightsaber, and he has this very nice dual molded head. You can see the lower part of his helmet is actually a different part. And then you have the upper part, very cool if you want to take off his helmet. It looks very accurate now, definitely a huge improvement over what we used to have back in the older days, around 2010, 2014. Huge difference there. He also has a very nice face. He's got his white, scarred and burned face, looks very nice print on that one. He has got of course his cape. A cloth piece that indeed was included for this minifigure, not something every other minifigure can say, as we learned. He also has some arm printing going on. The torso and leg print on this one are also just epic. Got a little bit going on the back right here as well. So even though we've seen him in quite a few sets before, he's definitely a top of the line minifigure, and it's always great to see him. Next up we got this minifigure, an Imperial Commander, and on the box it says it's supposed to be Commander Praji. Commander Praji was seen at the start of episode 4 when they were boarding the Tantive 4, which also makes it rather obvious that this Star Destroyer is supposed to be the one that we see at the very beginning of Star Wars episode 4. And this minifigure is really part of a lot of new minifigures that we get in this set, of just Imperial troops, different kinds of them, that have been redone and we've seen new models of, which I think is very nice. He looks very good. He doesn't have any leg printing going on sadly, but some nice torso print, a little bit of a back print, a normal face, nothing special going on here, but he looks still pretty good. So our next minifigure is this Imperial crew member. He's one of the guys that sit underneath the bridge and command and steer the Star Destroyer. He's also a new minifigure, very nice printing on his head with a little headset. He's got his little hat and some very nice printing going on for this minifigure, whether it's the torso or the legs, very nice. Also got some back printing, a very nice minifigure indeed. Again, one of many in this set that are new versions of old Imperial troops that we see, just modernized, and that's just very nice to see all these minifigures. On to the next minifigure, which is kind of misplaced in this set. It's called the Imperial Gunner on the top of the box, and most people probably know it as the Death Star Gunner. They're really only stationed on the Death Star, so they kind of don't make any sense putting them in a Star Destroyer. But nonetheless, I think including them in this set, giving them a new version that we can see, is kind of cool. I know it doesn't make all that much sense, but still I think the minifigure is really cool, so I'm really happy they put him in. Of course, he's got his special molded helmet, got a nice torso print and a nice leg print, has a little blaster and also some back print. Definitely a very cool minifigure. Again, doesn't make all that much sense to put him in this set, but I'm still happy we got him. Always liked these kind of minifigures, and just getting a new version of him that looked very nice is just great. Next we got the Imperial Navy Trooper with a medium-sized blaster. He of course also has his special helmet. Sadly no leg print for this guy, only a torso print and a little bit on the back. But he looks very good. I love seeing a new version of him. Always great to see these Imperial troops. It's pretty great that we see so many Imperial troops that have been redone, that have been getting new models in this set. The last minifigure in this set is just a regular old Stormtrooper. He's the newer version of this minifigure that we have already seen in quite a few other sets. Of course he has the dual molded helmet. This minifigure also has some leg printing going on, which is pretty nice. A good looking back print, a great looking frontal area print. Again, we've seen this minifigure before, but I think it's a really good looking one. Of course, it really needs to be included in this Star Destroyer. Now let's start taking a look at the Star Destroyer itself. Of course, this isn't the first LEGO Star Wars Star Destroyer. There have been two previous versions to this one in 2006 and one in 2014. And something that I've heard quite a few people complain about is that this one is the smallest of them. So it's actually a little bit smaller than the 2014 version. Now I used to have the one from 2014 as a kid, but sadly don't have it anymore, so I can't compare them side by side. But I've watched a review of Solid Bricks Studios and he put them side by side, and actually the size difference between the two is rather small. And don't get me wrong, I 100% support people complaining about LEGO when they screw up things. And especially the downsizing has caused a lot of problems. I think a lot of sets have turned out to be bad just because they have been downsized. I think a few examples would be the newest version of the Imperial Shuttle, or for example the new Sith Infiltrator. But what the problem with most of these sets is that beforehand they seemed to be perfect in terms of scale to a minifigure, and now they've gotten downsized and the scale just doesn't fit at all anymore. But with this set, scale isn't an issue because you cannot make a LEGO Star Destroyer in minifigure scale. It would be something like, I think, 17 meters long or so, so really unrealistic. And as far as scale isn't an issue with a LEGO Star Destroyer anyway, I think it's not that bad that it has gotten a tiny bit smaller. On the other hand, of course, a Star Destroyer is one of the biggest ships in universe, so I think it also should be resembled in the model of it. It should be one of the biggest LEGO models. So getting smaller is a little bit of a bummer in that case, but I still think it's a pretty large set if you compare it to others, and it still is very great. Besides the small difference in terms of size, I think this Star Destroyer really is the best version from LEGO we've ever seen. The outside simply looks beautiful. The details on it are perfect. I'm always a fan of having tiled off areas and studded areas in a good mix. I'm never a fan of fully tiled off areas. When a whole set is just tiles and it doesn't even look like Lego anymore, I don't like that. When it's just studs only, it kind of looks outdated though. But I really think they nailed it this time with the amount of tiled off areas and the amount of studded areas. They really found the perfect mix, and I just think the outside of this just looks beautiful. Also the proportions are 10 out of 10 perfect. The proportions of the bridge compared to this middle section right here and of the whole Star Destroyer underneath, all that seems to fit so well together. And when I'm comparing it to the 2014 iteration of this set, I think the proportions just weren't as spot on as on this one. I think the details here are much more beautiful. They definitely use some new techniques that make it just so much better looking. You take a look at the cannons here. We used to have these in the 2014 one as well. They had a different build, and I think the newer ones just fits so much better to this model. And they definitely put a lot of thought into how to make this set just stand out, to make the outside look as resembling of a Star Destroyer as possible. And I think there's no question about it when you compare it to the older ones, also the 2014 version. I think this one is definitely the better one. I think this is the best version of the Star Destroyer we have ever seen. So let's get to our first feature, and that's of course the integrated spring-loaded shooters. You can see them here. There's a little bit of a green spot here, and they used to be part of the 2014 one as well. But back then, if you compare these two, you could see the spring-loaded piece in here, and it was really standing out. You could see the rear end of the green part protruding further back, and it really didn't look as well hidden as here. They've really done a great job with hiding all the features. I'll make another point to that just in a second. And they really made the outside of this to be as perfect and as immaculate as possible. And I really love that about this set. It's perfect for display. You can see there's a little bit of a Technic piece further back here. And of course that launches the spring-loaded shooter. So they've done a really great job. That part of the area where all of that spring-loaded shooter is located looks so good. It's actually, they've built around it and made it look like part of the ship. So this area looks perfect, while at the same time being part of the spring-loaded shooter. If you compare it to the 2014 one, you just had the shooter. It was kind of ugly. You had the green thing sticking out. You could see everything. Here they've done a beautiful, beautiful job, really. Alright, let's go to the next thing. Of course, with ships in that size, you always have handles integrated with Lego. But this time you can see there's not really a handle you can spot straight away, and that's the next thing they've been hiding very well in this set. Because underneath here you can just pop these open and you have got your handle. That's what that handle looks like. And it's just super well integrated. Also, comparing this one to the 2014 one, the handle was just sticking out, as with most sets, as with most other ships really from Lego. This new way of kind of hiding the handle in the ship and putting some plates on top of it to not disturb the look of the ship is just a beautiful idea, and I think it worked out super well in this set. It just looks great. So there's no interruption in this whole area, in this thicker part on the top. It's not interrupted by the spring-loaded shooters, it's not interrupted by the handle, but these things are there. They're just covered up really nicely. Now let's take a look at the bridge. There's one little sticker here. Of course, not a print. We cannot expect that from Lego. That will never happen, I guess. Now the bridge looks very well designed, and I think I'm having to kind of compare this to the 2014 one. I always felt like the bridge in that one didn't seem to fit as well in terms of proportionality to the rest of the ship as with this one. Here everything seems to just be perfect in terms of proportions. They all just fit. Now, as with the 2014, let's take a look at the back here. Of course, we have our engines. As I think with every previous iteration, of course, we have some wheel design pieces here and just some blue Technic pieces that fit inside to resemble the engines. On the back of the bridge, you can open up this thing, and it's a little storage area for another two spring-loaded shooters. Now I've also put Darth Vader's lightsaber in here because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to hold it. So I just used this area personally to store his lightsaber away as well. Now the last feature of this upper part right here, of course, are the cannons. It's really the same mechanism we've seen in the 2014 one. You have 4 of these cannons, of course, on both sides. Those are sort of the main cannons of the whole ship. And you have got this little lever right here. It really is the same mechanism as in 2014, just built a little bit differently. But of course, if you know the 2014 one, you know what's going to happen. You just push this in and the turrets are moving. That's it. You You can move them around. Pretty cool. They all move simultaneously, as you can see. It's nothing new. We expected this to happen. Again, in 2014, you've seen the same thing. But yeah, very well done. Here, I think, again, the cannons, I think, are being built a little bit more fitting to the whole thing. I think in 2014, they didn't look as good. So I like the way they built these in this one. But in general, it's pretty much the same as in 2014. But I think this upper part, really, they've done such a good job on this one. They've been putting in so many features, and most of them you can't really see. Of course, that one is protruding out, so you can see this one. But they've been hiding away the handle very well. They've been hiding these spring-loaded shooters away very well. And just, I think if you take a look at this area, all the tiled off areas right here, and just the right amount of studs in between, it looks so good, and it looks a dozen times better than the 2014 version. If we're zooming in here a little bit, you can also see some clear pieces, some 1x1 studs, and just all kinds of pieces. They've really been doing a whole lot of greebling around here to make the thing look big, to make it look like there's windows and all sorts of little things here to give the illusion of scale. And I really like that, and I think it works really well and a whole lot better than on the 2014 one, which was also a great set, but I think that one has got to be the better one. Now let's take a look inside the Star Destroyer, and for that we have to first open it up, which happens by taking away the upper piece. There you can see the mechanism for the handle, and then we open up these side parts. Now I'm gonna have to say, in terms of how much fun the build was, building the inside and starting with this build was kind of fun, but of course you have a lot of repetition. You build these parts that are fairly large and have quite a few pieces in them. You build them twice, you build the underside of these parts twice. For the upper part, you build basically twice the same thing. So it's very repetitive, but it was still kind of fun. Let's take a look inside here. As you can see, we have basically two compartments in here, the front part and the rear part. And it's very similar to the 2014 one. But I think, if I remember correctly, when building this, it definitely felt like the inside is quite a bit smaller than the 2014 one. Now the 2006 version has been quite a bit bigger, and there had been some cool features in the back here. In the front, you had some sort of an escape pod with an actual hole in the middle that you could throw it through if you want to. And in the back, you actually had Darth Vader's healing chamber. Now I think that is super cool and would have been amazing if they would have redone this in a new version. But the problem is also that the space is just kind of missing for it. The 2014 version used to have a small hologram of Darth Sidious. That was pretty cool, and that sadly isn't included anymore. But let's take a look at what is included. Similar to the 2014 version, you have the bridge up here. Of course, it really is located up here, where you can see the sticker with the windows, just to give you a bit of an idea of how big this ship is supposed to be. Of course, it's only hinted at, basically, because you have these rows of two studs here. It should be much, much wider if it should resemble the real bridge where Vader and so on is walking. You can put Vader here, of course, but you cannot close the set when you do put him on there. So of course Vader can walk here, but you will not be able to close the Star Destroyer. But still, I understand they cannot put it in scale, that's obvious. So I think it's pretty cool that they included the bridge. It looks okay. It's got a few stickers in here. Those down here, these control panels, they are stickers. In the back, these are stickers. And the same goes for that side. So quite a few stickers that we've gotten. You can sit your officers down here. They have a little bit of a seat down there. Some control panels. All these control panels, though, the smaller ones, these are all just standard print, so at least they're not stickers. Alright, let's get to the back. Again, sadly, no meditation chamber for Vader. That would have been awesome. No hologram of Darth Sidious. That would have also been great. Sadly, all these parts are missing. And what we have gotten instead, well, we've got this little control looking thing where they've got their little screens. Now these pieces are also stickers, which really sucks. When you have transparent pieces and you put stickers on them, it's just never fun. So these aren't any prints. Don't get your hopes up for that one. There's a little bit of a desk and sort of an office area, I guess, for one of the officers. He's got a little chair, that one can rotate. He's got a mug there to drink from. A little spot for his gun, as you can see. There's some more weapons here on the wall. There's 2 chests here. One small one. And it includes 2 detonators. Now this box actually is printed, which is pretty cool. It has the Imperial logo on it. These parts are also printed, the detonators, but you know, feels more like a little gimmick and not really like something that needs to be in there. And we've got the big box, and there we have a pair of binoculars. Let's take a look at the other side of the ship. On this side we have what I think is supposed to be a medical area. Down here we have a little build, and I don't know what it is. It's a roller skate part with a 1x1 claw piece on top. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to represent a mouse droid or if it is supposed to be something else. In the instruction manual, you had to put it in this place, so it wasn't like a minifigure build. So I'm really unsure if this is supposed to be a mouse droid or if it's just supposed to be a clip for maybe another weapon. I'm really unsure. Again, this right here I think is supposed to be a medical area. You've got a clip with a syringe over here, and you have this little cupboard here. Inside you have this drawer. I don't know what it is supposed to be. I think it's probably supposed to be like a Bacta tank thingy. I mean, it would make sense together with the syringe to then be kind of a medical area. So that's really it. Now the last thing is this little thing. It's kind of a table. You can rotate it. I think it is supposed to be one of these strategic tables to see what's going on. You can see something similar to that in episode 2 with the attack on Geonosis. I think it's supposed to resemble that. Basically having I think that is supposed to depict the Star Destroyer, and that one's just supposed to be a enemy ship. So they can just watch the battle that's going on. Probably, I'm not sure if I'm correct with that. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that's what this is supposed to be. It's quite small, so they couldn't really make this as detailed maybe, but I think, so I'm not actually even sure, but I think that is what this is supposed to be. And I think it is kind of a cool feature, right? It looks pretty cool. All right, now we've basically seen all of the Star Destroyer. And I think one thing is pretty clear. Since 2014, I think if I have to compare the inside of the 2 Star Destroyers, honestly, the 2014 one isn't really that great either. Again, it had the Palpatine hologram, that's pretty cool. That's kind of missing here, wish we would have that one. But even that one wasn't too great on the inside. So the insides of these Star Destroyers, sadly, really aren't the highlight of the thing, but it's got the bridge. That's really the only recognizable thing. All the other stuff here in the back really feels like they just had to do something. Maybe they would have been better off if they would have done Vader's room. Just use up all this room to get his meditation chamber in. That would have been super awesome. I would have loved to see that. That would have been a whole lot cooler than what they really did. And maybe then just use the other part of the room to show Palpatine's hologram. I think that would have been a bit better use of the space, but anyways, I think that's not why we're all buying it. I think the outside here is really what matters. So I guess as a final verdict, should you buy this set? I would say it's a definite yes. Again, a lot of people complaining about the size of the ship. I think it's really not that big of a bummer. It really doesn't matter. It's just a little bit smaller than the older one, and it looks great. I think the outside is so worth it. It really looks, it kind of looks like a mini UCS version. I would say it's that perfect actually. So the interior, sadly not the best. Didn't really expect that either. The 2014 version was already kind of showing it's not about the inside for LEGO with the Star Destroyers. And it really is about the outside, let's be honest. And I think this, in terms of displayability, this set really hits the nail on the head. I think it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of, if you take a look at how it looks on the outside, there's not a whole lot to criticize here. I think they've done a wonderful job here getting the proportions right. It still is a pretty big set. Then the details, when you take a look around, the greebling going on everywhere, it really looks great. The outside looks perfect. It has a few cool features and they are all very well hidden to not disturb the outside appearance of the ship. So that, I think outside, they've done a 10 out of 10 job. The inside could definitely be better. So should you buy this set? I would say so. If you want a Star Destroyer, that one's probably the one to get. Again, it's a LEGO exclusive set, so you will probably not be able to get that big of a discount on it. But again, I've saved 30 bucks on it. I think for 140, this is an okay price. So if you can get a discount, definitely take it. I think the set is definitely worth it. So I'm gonna end it on that one. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time. Bye.